All right, next up, there's a few other string methods or string functions that I think are worth knowing, but I'm going to hit them quickly and not make you watch a separate video for each one. The first one is called insert. It allows us to insert some substring into a larger string. It doesn't actually have to be a larger string, but some string into another string at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. So it's different than replace, because replace is going to, replace some existing characters. With insert, we can replace characters, or we can simply add on. So let's say that I had this string, not replace, insert. How about hello, Bobby? Like that. And I want to insert something right there where the space is. How about there? So it's hello there, Bobby. Very contrived example. Of course, we would just type that string, but imagine I'm doing this on every single row in a table for some column. So hello space Bobby. I'm going to say I want to insert something at this position. So I have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it depends on how I want to do this. If I do 6, let me just show you what happens. There's a second number I have to provide, which is the number of characters I want to replace. And in my example here, I don't want to replace any characters. I'm adding on. But I'll show you what happens if we change that. And then what am I adding on? There, the string there. So this is what we get. Hello, and then there, that whole string was inserted right at this position. And then the space is still preserved, and then we have Bobby. But I could have rewritten it so it had a space at the beginning. So we get hello there, Bobby. But let me show you what happens now if we instead say replace some characters. So instead of just saying replace nothing and insert there at index or position 6, what if I say replace, 4 characters? This is what we get. It replaced 4 characters, so it inserted there, but as it did that, it replaced the B-O-B. Or if I did it, let's replace 6 characters. Now we just have hello there. We replaced all of Bobby. So that's insert. If you're just trying to replace something, like for like, replace all examples of something within a string, then you can do that using replace. If you want to insert something in the middle, at the beginning, at the end, you can use insert. It is a little confusing with those two numbers. Just remember, this is where something will be inserted. The second number is how many characters to replace. Okay, the next function I want to talk about is left. Left and right are functions we can use to get the leftmost and rightmost characters from some string. So in this case, we're getting the leftmost 5 leftmost characters from foo bar bar, which is fooba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just show that really quickly. Select left of the string OMG, haha, LOL, exclamation point. I say how many left? Let's get the 3 leftmost characters, add my semicolon, and we get OMG. And if I instead did right and get the 3 rightmost characters, well, it's going to be OL, exclamation point. So let's maybe get the 4 rightmost characters, and we get LOL, exclamation point. So we could have used this, for example, to get the initials or create the initials of our authors. Let's say we want the last name, the first character of the last name. Well, we could do select left of author L name, 1 character from the left, meaning the first character, from books. And we get L, right? That's Lahiri, G is for Gaiman, and so on. Okay, so that's left and right. We also have repeat. Repeat does what it sounds like. You take some string and a number, and you'll get that same string repeated that number of times. So if I have a string select repeat ha 4 times, we get ha 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 ha. So I think that's all I need to show. You could use that, of course, with a real table. That's why you would use this. You probably don't need to repeat ha 4 times. But for the sake of your own time, I'm not going to show an example of that. And the last one I'll show you is trim. Trim is used to remove usually spaces that are leading and trailing. So if I have some data that is messy, maybe it has, let's just do a trim on some string that has some extra space around somebody's city. How about Boston? And then a space at the end. I don't want that space there. If I trim it, it removes the leading and trailing spaces, but it's not going to remove the spaces in the middle. Like if I had San Antonio, it doesn't remove all spaces. It's not a replace. It is simply removing leading and trailing spaces. But we can actually trim other characters if you specify a certain character. So here they call it remove string or rem string. So something like this right here. We can say trim the leading X characters from this string. It's kind of weird, the syntax writing leading and from, but let's just take a look at an example. Maybe I have something that looks like this. For whatever reason, there's a bunch of leading dots, periods, and trailing dots. Well, if I do that, it's going to look for spaces on its own. That's not what I want. I'm going to say trim leading period characters from that string, and there we are. It only trimmed the leading ones. If I instead had said select trim trailing, it will only remove the trailing dots. And then I could also say both to remove both leading and trailing periods. All right, so that's it for this wrap up of some additional string functions.